Welcome, viewers, to today's episode of Back to the City. I'm very fortunate.
You're very lovely.
Thank you, Katy. So are you. I'm very lucky to have Katy Vernon in the studio with me today.
Having me.
Because it's such a busy week for you within a very busy month.
Very busy month.
Your website says 1 month, 15 shows, tons of debuts.
Yeah, tons of debuts.
Yeah, the two of these debuts, the two biggest, the big bucket list items, are Thursday, August 17th, music in Mears with the Flamin Ohs.
Love it. Can't wait.
I love it. I love them.
I love them.
Yeah, I have one of my favourite interviews was with them.
Oh, really?
And for ease of reference, there's a link to that Cyanet Radio archived Back to the City episode underneath this video. So if you want to have 2 hours of the Flamin Ohs, then
well, who wouldn't?
Yeah, and the other bucket list thing is Thursday, August 24th and Friday, August 25th. The full Katy Vernon band, is going to be performing at the Minnesota State Fair, West End Stage.
West End Stage, yeah. And we'll be doing 3 shows a day. Yeah. So 11:30, 12:30 and 1:30.
Absolutely.
Both days.
Yeah. It's as if you have my notes.
It's as if I wrote my website.
So we'll be talking a bit more about those 2 shows and what they mean for you in the second half of today's episode. In the first half, this week, you're doing something every single day.
Yes.
The theme song for today's episode is Play, appropriately.
Oh, nice.
This Katy Vernon song, Play. We all should play as often as we can.
We should.
Katy is leading by example.
Well, you know, when I wrote that song, I really was struggling with that. I was struggling with writing. I literally, that song for me, I mean, you know, guitarists would look at what I'm doing and not even think it was that difficult.
Right.
But, you know, there were hard chords to play. And so I thought, just force yourself to do it. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to play, which is obviously such a life lesson for anyone struggling to just kind of get up on a stage and play. And also gigs. I mean, I'm so grateful. Like, this sounds crazy, and it really wasn't planned to be something every single day. But a lot of it is, every show is very different. Every show is a different opportunity, either solo, you know, as part of the Fringe, or with my whole band, to just get out there and do something creative, and to just say yes to all these amazing opportunities, because there were many, many years where I couldn't even find a good gig that I wanted to do. So.
Yeah, and so
that's what Play was all about.
Yeah, and some of the lyrics are, you know, never thought I'd win, scared to begin, and you know, here you are. Here you are today.
I'm very transparent in my lyrics. And yeah, it's so true. You know, I'm never going to be the best guitar player in the room, and I had to make peace with that and not let it keep me, you know, from even trying.
Until you wrote 5 o'clock on ukulele. And then the rest is history and present and
I
future.
know. I keep writing things actually that some of them do become a lot more obvious a couple of years later, which is kind of spooky. Yeah. Yeah, but interesting that sometimes you just need to maybe look at what art you're producing and pay attention to.
Yes, as an artist, it's helpful as a means of self-knowledge, isn't it? We could call this Keeping Up with Katy. She's a very busy lady. But this is an exceptionally busy week for Katy.
It is. It's very, very busy. I have a show like every day.
Yes, exactly. If someone wants to catch Katy Vernon every single night this week, then these are the places that they can go. So to begin with, today is the third of 5 performances of Debacle at the Ritz Theatre.
Yes, and we're getting rave reviews.
Yes, which referenced you in particular.
Actually, that was really awkward because I'm by far the star of the show. But there's 3 people in the show. So there's a hilarious comedian, Jason Shoma, amazing storyteller, like Storyteller Slam and Moth, performer called Alison Brown, and then I'm really just the connecting. I'm the little super glue in between them.
You and your uke.
Me and my ukulele.
Yeah.
So
which you'll be playing later.
Which I will be. And so I kind of stand off to the side of the stage, and I really just laugh at them telling their hilarious stories, and then I have to jump up and sing.
Yeah.
It's good.
The production begins with a story about malevolent cat.
Yes.
I believe.
Well, a multi-personality cat.
Right, okay, so not necessarily malevolent by any...
That's just one of many.
One of the personalities is malevolent.
And the personalities all have names, so it's hilarious.
Each segment, each debacle is introduced with a ukulele song.
That's right.
Did you write songs especially, or are they some of your Katy Vernon?
I wrote one specially. Well, so there are different segments, I don't want to give them all away, but one of the, and so I could match my songs pretty well to each of them, but one of the segments is called Girly Bits.
Girly Bits.
And surprise, surprise, I didn't have a song ready, which I should. I should always have a song ready for that. But I didn't. Now I do. Yeah. So I did write a song for that. So actually, it came out of a reworked song. So 23.
Oh, yeah.
My song that I know you know.
Yeah. It's a favourite of mine.
Yeah. Well, it might not be anymore. So I rewrote it, and it's a new version, which gets a little down and dirty. It's fun.
Yeah, well, people have been having a very good time at this.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Not only did the Star Tribune highlight that the best part of the show is singer Katy Vernon, who jumps in several times and breaks up the stories with her ukulele. What a fascinating voice and charming personality.
Yeah, that's nice. Clearly they don't know me, so I'm a surprise element, because they're obviously not a music reviewer. So I was a surprise to them. But no, it was lovely. That was really nice. And of course, you know, when Jason arrived, he's like, "Hello, Miss Star of the show." It's made things nicely awkward.
Jason being one of the two actors.
Yeah, and he's amazing. So I'm in no way outshining him. But you know, everyone gets something different out of the show. That's kind of the whole point. It's not even a straightforward comedy show. It's you know, some of Alison's storytelling is really moving and then funny. So I mean, it's like life.
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's elements of everything in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm just so excited to be in the Fringe. I was a theatre
Exactly,
major.
I was going to bring that up.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, I got my BA in theatre studies, and I've really never done anything with it.
It hasn't given you the acting bug.
I'd like to do a musical.
Oh,
if anyone's putting on Mary Poppins.
Here's your Mary.
I want to be Mary.
Katy is your Mary.
I do want to be Mary. That would be great.
Tomorrow, Wednesday, August 9th, you are going to be at Silverwood on stage.
Yeah.
That's at 6:30 p.m.
That's right. And
Where
that's a full band show.
Yeah,
it's a South Minneapolis park. It's the Silverwood Lakes Park, I think. Or I might have to look that up.
Yeah.
And they have a beautiful outdoor wooden stage, and it's really a family-friendly outdoor show. They have warned me that they have a beautiful inside space. So it will be rain or shine, which is good to know.
Okay, great.
Because I've had a couple of outdoor shows this summer get rained off already. So
I know.
The show will go on.
Yeah, I'm really... That's in fact Singing in the Rain in particular.
You know, I knew as soon as we booked a show opening the movie Singing in the Rain
that
we were just tempting the weather gods. So no, that was a big show that was cancelled.
And especially coming back from England, especially to perform it, the land of the rain, as I am also
I had beautiful weather while I was there.
Yeah, I was there too.
I know.
I was experiencing
it. was really sunny
it
and
really
lovely.
Was. Okay, so, and I understand that there's like a sculpture
it's like sculpted out of ancient oak trees or something. So,
from the savannah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be really pretty.
Pretty exotic.
Very.
Yeah.
Just like me.
So that is tomorrow. And then by the time we get to Thursday, August 10th, this is the most conventional show so far, but a very exciting one, solo show.
Very excited. Yes, I'll be opening solo, and that's for the Homefires residency.
Yeah,
so the
what is that?
Homefires are Sarah Morris and Vicky Emerson, both amazing in their own right.
They absolutely are.
And they started booking shows together, and then they started writing together, and so they've actually formed a duo now, which complements them both so well. So they're taking over the Aster for every Thursday of this month, and I'm lucky enough to get to do one. I actually had to switch it with one of my Fringe shows.
Right.
I was originally supposed to do it last week, so I think the posters say I was there last week, but I wasn't.
Good thing we're doing this video.
Just so I know, I can watch this video.
The Katy Vernon lowdown, the most accurate information.
And actually, what was interesting was that I was doing some bookings while I was in the UK.
Yep.
And it wouldn't let me change the time zone, so it would show my American events happening like in the middle of the night. And I was trying it, like it would just not make the change. And so I actually booked just these 2 shows on the same day without realizing.
Right.
And when I got back to the States, I could see that I had 2 things happening at once.
Yeah.
So luckily I only had to switch one show.
Or potentially even 3 things happening at once, because as we near the end of the week, we have Songbird Treaures opening at your favorite retail space. So what is Songbird Treaures and where is your favorite retail space?
Songbird Treaures is basically a collection of everything that I make, which is earrings and jewelry. Yeah. I like to find like a broken old earring and I make a beautiful necklace out of it. So even when I was a kid, I'd see like a little, chewed up, eaten up, stuffed animal, like not a real animal, like soft
like
toy.
Cuddly toy.
Cuddly toy. I was going to say I would find like a chewed up rabbit, but I have to make it clear that it wasn't like a real animal. Yeah. So I've always found things and remade them. Like before there was a word for upcycle, like that's what I was doing.
That's what you do.
So, but I also, I wear a lot of jewelry that I make and sell it sometimes
modeling.
at shows. Yes, I'm modeling one that I couldn't give up.
Yeah, exactly.
It was too cute, so I had to keep it.
Yeah, one of your daughters highlighted that. It seems very
Daisy
Katy.
was like, Mom, seems like you might want to keep that one. So I did keep this one. But I also find bigger things, like, people are always getting rid of, pieces of furniture by the side of the road. So I like to get those and paint them and change them. Make them into something else. So I'm finally going to be opening up a booth, like a store within a store kind of deal, in White Bear Lake, where I live now. So there's a store called Sweet Home that have been doing upcycled and kind of handmade goods for about 6 years. Yeah. So they know what they're doing. They price things really reasonably, because I'm not interested in making really expensive things.
Sure.
It's all affordable, nice things you can have for your home.
Yeah.
So we're having an opening party.
From Katy's home to yours.
From my home, From your alley to my home, repainted, and then out on a shelf in White Bear Lake. So we're having a little kickoff for that on Friday.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm excited.
And speaking of your daughters and your daughters knowing you, last time that you were on Back to the City, you performed for the first time a new song called In Your Shoes. In Your Shoes, which was prompted by
Daisy.
Daisy.
Yeah,
Daisy,
she wrote a Mother's Day card.
Yeah.
That was very intense.
Yes.
I was like, that sounds like lyrics. I should make a song out of that. We will be playing that at Silverwood on stage with the full band.
Oh, brilliant. Okay.
So I'm excited because I did do an acoustic version.
Tomorrow.
And that's mostly the only thing that people have heard, if they've even heard that song. But it is great with the full band. And everyone kind of goes off and does some solos. And it's rhythmically very unusual. And
it is.
The band is really having fun with that.
Yeah. So if people want to familiarize themselves with that song, I provided a link to the original audio interview that we did with that performance. You can check if you want even more Katy Vernon than you're getting in this video. And there's an easy link to that. And momentarily, within the next few minutes, Katy's going to be debuting another new
brand
original, which you wrote when you were in England. You went to England to play at 2 ukulele festivals and do a tour. Yeah,
so basically I booked one ukulele festival and then realized that there was another festival, but they were 6 weeks apart. So I thought I have to pick one or the other. I didn't even know if they would let me do both because,
were they rival festivals?
They're pulling from the same pool of people. No, very friendly.
Sure,
I mean, they made it work. They encouraged me to stay and do both and then fill my time in between. So I had like a 5-week stretch where I had to kind of plot, where else can I go?
Yeah.
Which was very overwhelming, but with about 3 different groups of people, either in the ukulele world or some people I knew here, or just friends around the United Kingdom, I managed to put together a really decent tour. I went to Scotland, I went to Wales, I went all over the UK. I mean, all over England, places I hadn't been before, which was, that was as exciting actually as the gigs. It was just to find my way around.
I think England's a pretty exciting place, full of friendly folk.
Yeah, no, super friendly. And, just to navigate my way around was so good for me. I mean, I didn't even realize kind of how anxious, if you know me on Facebook, you know I have anxiety issues, but I didn't even realize, like, I'm kind of the person that would get nervous about following my GPS, you know, and getting lost here.
Yeah, in your home.
Just in my home, like getting from White Bear Lake to downtown Minneapolis.
Yeah.
I mean, I do it all the time, but I always have that kind of anxiety, like I'm going to make the wrong choice, I'm going to, you know, get lost,
yeah, it's late,
you know,
makes a lot
I mean,
of sense.
it's such a common, you know, thing to think about. And there I was going, okay, well, I know I need to get, you know, to Edinburgh on Friday, so, you know, boom, and then I would go. And it was just like, it was very freeing.
Absolutely, to think, if I can get to Edinburgh.
Yeah, I mean, one day, okay, I woke up on a narrowboat. So first of all, I'm sleeping on a narrowboat, which is a very skinny canal boat for anyone who doesn't
This is on the Thames?
No, it was way up in North Wales. Okay. So I wake up on this narrowboat.
You really went everywhere.
I went everywhere. I'm in this little place called Chirk, which no one thinks even exists, but it does, and they have a castle. So I woke up in this narrowboat, and that day I took a cab to see the castle by myself, which was an experience. Then I took 2 trains, a bus, an underground, and finally, you know, like walking, obviously, as well. Yeah. So I went all the way, you know, by myself from North Wales, all over, and ended back in South London, you know, in one very long day.
Wow.
And I just thought, you know, I think I did every form of transport that day.
And in one day?
In one day. And I didn't get lost. It was great. Yeah,
excellent.
It was good.
So that was a way into your trip. At the beginning, you began in Brighton, or
I began
Brighton
with one of the festivals. So I began in Yorkshire, and actually I began in Huddersfield, which is where the new lady Doctor Who comes from.
Ah, wonderful!
Trivia. So yeah, you know, that's a great northern town, and that's where the festival was. And then after that, I went to Brighton, and I stayed in Brighton. That was the longest place I stayed anywhere. I stayed there for 9 days, totally by myself.
Did you? And for the first few days, you wrote a song each day?
Yeah, I wrote 2 songs the first 2 days I was there. Yeah. And then it took me, I was really like beating up on myself, because then it took me like 2 days for each song after that.
2 whole days?
I was like, well, I guess that's still okay. I wanted to do the whole like Bon Iver thing, you know, and just like put myself in a little, you know, space and pour everything into an album. And I wrote 4 songs. Yeah. So
that's an EP.
It's an EP. Yeah. I'll be saving them for an LP because I'm kind of old-fashioned. But and it was interesting because they all definitely had threads of seaside and water, you know, kind of in them. And
courtesy of Brighton.
And you know, I mean, I literally just every day. Whether it rained or not, I just kind of got up and, you know, had a cup of tea and made my way to the seaside and just tried to let it just kind of sink in. Yeah,
and it really did. It really did sink in.
Literally.
Yeah. Here on the DIY green screen.
Yes.
I'm not, so if you're familiar, this is the DIY green screen. It's flowers to us, but to the viewers, it is Katy in her bunny top, which is appropriate that she wears it to perform. Yes. Is it called Look to the Sea?
Look to the Sea, yeah. Well, I wrote that one. Reference. It does have a bunny rabbit reference because I didn't realise, you know, and I'm an English scholar, not really, but, you know.
I am an English scholar.
You are an English scholar. So, but, you know, I've read my fair share of English literature, and I didn't know that Brighton had helped to influence Alice in Wonderland.
Ah, yes.
Did you know that?
Lewis Carroll. Yeah.
Pretty cool. So I didn't know that. So apparently Lewis Carroll stayed in a house in Brighton, and it had a private tunnel to the sea.
Right.
Like, that's so cool. Yeah. And apparently, and so only the homeowners or the people that were staying there would have a key to go through this. So one day, as the story goes, for the Brighton Tourism Board, apparently he saw a bunny rabbit run in, and of course it was little, so it didn't need a key. It just ran under. And then he thought, I wonder where the bunny's going. Yeah. Because that was, you know, a tunnel to the sea. And so I just thought, that's like amazing. Yeah. So every day, you know, I kind of felt like that little bunny just wandering around.
Running through the street?
Yeah.
As the song goes.
So, yeah. Running through the lanes is what I changed it to. Because all the streets in Brighton are called lanes.
Oh.
That's a little rewrite
more authentic.
There. More authentic, yeah. Well, you know, the videos that, you know, I shared during that time, they were literally, you know, within 5-10 minutes of putting my pencil down.
Of finishing writing the song?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that's why the pressure of it taking 2 days, you know, to write a song really got to me, because I was really trying to document it as it went. And then I thought, I'm not done yet. But then I got done the next day.
It's a battle.
Yeah, and you know, I really kind of thought, you know, there's no point churning things out that I'm not going to be happy with. You know, the whole point was to literally get away, which I did. I went very far away, you know, to deliberately do that and take, you know, 6 weeks away from my family.
Yeah.
But, you know, I took that time because I wanted to get out of every rut I was in.
Yes.
And sometimes the rut is, you know, in your mind.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well,
the mind-forged prison.
Mind-forged manacles.
Of William Blake.
William Blake, yeah, exactly.
See? I know some of my stuff.
But yeah, we are English scholars.
It's like so nerdy. Yeah.
This is a place to come if you want to be a British nerd.
I'll run out. I have a couple. That was one of them.
The chorus of Look to the Sea.
Yes.
You refer to the sea, you're looking to the sea not to carry you away, but to show you the way back. And that, I think, works really well. So many people can relate to that. We will talk in the second half of this episode, after you've performed another nautical themed song from your trip to the UK. We'll talk about what that is getting. We'll return to the Mind-Forged Manacles and the fact that this was the longest tour that you've had, but also the longest time that you've had alone, and about some more of the context of that.
Sounds good.
But in the meantime, what you're about to do is perform another song from that trip, and this is called Undertow.
Undertow, yes. So I was actually caught in an undertow when I was about 12. So that's when I first discovered what they were. Wow. I didn't know what they were.
Yeah.
And you know, I survived, obviously.
Yeah.
But you know, I was swimming and I wasn't a very good swimmer, and I didn't realize that I was being dragged.
Wow.
Far along, you know, it kind of drags you the other way.
So not only were you caught in the undertow, but you were caught in it without without realizing that you were caught.
I didn't know what it was. So I was like, what's happening? Yeah. And you know, and it was kind of pulling me under, and I was kind of losing, you know, my fight with it. And then instinctively, I knew to just kind of relax and let it push me out where it needed to.
Wow.
Because I mean, I think there's different kinds of undertow. I'm certainly no expert, but you know, there are tides obviously that keep pulling you out. But the undertow I was in was it just kind of drags you out, and the more you fight that, you know, you're going to lose that fight basically, because it will wear you out.
That's an
if you're not a very good swimmer.
Metaphor in itself.
I know, and so it's like if you just kind of let it carry you, then it will spit you out where it needs to.
Yeah, like the Mad Hatter being spat out into the ocean from the tunnel.
Yes, exactly.
So that's the contect for this song. We've reached the midpoint, the meridian of our episode.
Well
there we go. No, I'm with the nautical theme too.
I love it.
And so without any further ado, this is for the first time. Are you going to perform this week at any point?
I will, definitely in my solo shows. I think I'll probably try to play all of my new songs in those. With the band, we'll try a couple.
Okay, great.
Gotta whip them into shape.
Yeah, so then, and then if you come to all of Katy's performances, then you'll get this at some point. And this is Undertow, live on Back to the City by Katy Vernon.
The only way out is
You calling Katy has dematerialized, and the conversation Katy has returned for the second half, which is actually going to be considerably longer than the first half of today's episode. So we're fresh off the boat to some extent.
Yeah.
A month or so ago, we both returned from England.
Yep.
Okay, so we're going to talk a bit more about the Halt Tour. We'll understand. We'll explain what we mean when we call it the Halt Tour. We also just recently returned from Hazelfest. Hazelfest, we should establish, is at the Hazelden, which is a treatment facility.
Yes, which I had never been to.
Yeah.
So that was kind of like hallowed ground, but I know a lot of people that have been there, and it's a beautiful place. I mean, if you're going to end up somewhere.
Yeah.
And it's got an amazing, international reputation.
It really does.
So,
yeah.
And it's a day of music and talks and no alcohol, no tobacco.
Yep.
And it's just a very nice place to spend the day and listen to great music.
I was there covering Hama Superstar. There's a link to that interview with him about Hazelfest and just beneath this as well.
I will be clicking on it.
But yeah, it's a great one. We had a really good time.
Good.
But what brought you to Hazelfest?
Yeah,
Katy?
I went to Hazelfest through my connection with Dissonance.
Yeah.
Their website's actually called dissonancewebsite.org, I believe.
Okay.
If you just looked up Dissonance Twin Cities, you'd find it too. So they're an arts organization they're a relatively new nonprofit, but they work to connect artists with mental health and addiction resources, and they do events, and that's how I knew about them, was that they will bring the musicians we're all familiar with. So, Caroline Smith was involved, Adam Levy. They will do a curated discussion about mental health or addictive issues, and then they will make that available on their website. I knew that they were a safe space because I knew some of the people involved, but not enough because I didn't want to really talk to friends when I was at my lowest. But I knew this is a safe place to go that can point me in directions that I could get help. So, if you connect with them, you're getting a real person who has probably gone through some of the same issues you have, understands that maybe you don't have a typical 9-to-5 job, understands that maybe you tour, that there are some unique yet similar things, that you might be able to just connect with someone that can say, maybe you want to talk to this group, or maybe you could, find this place to connect and get therapy or get, group support. And I literally, ABC, I did exactly that. I felt really, really low. I didn't know who in my circle to talk to. So through social media, I reached out to Dissonance, and they sat and let me just talk and cry and really just kind of reach out at my lowest, and then made some helpful suggestions for where I could go next. And it was a really full circle moment for me to be back at Hazelfest and
providing information
that Dissonance, they're real people that can just listen, point you in the right place. It was started by someone who's in the therapy field and someone who's in the arts field. So they kind of said, maybe we have a lot of people in common that might need to connect these things. And so they did. So I was happy to be there wearing a t-shirt and talking about it.
Not only Hama Superstar was there, but for example, Communist Daughter and Johnny Solomon is very open about the fact that when Communist Daughter's first music came out, he was at the Hazelden benefiting
and he is on the board of Dissonance. So, he's really walking the walk and really just saying, you don't have to romanticize chemical or mental health issues. You need to get help for them.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to live that way to be creative.
Absolutely.
So he's a big proponent of that, and he's living proof. He's making better music than ever.
He is, yeah. And Kevin Bowe was one of the speakers there. Kevin Bowe, of course, who produced the record Present. Yeah. In our first segment, you made a reference to the song 5 O'Clock from your first record. You were saying that often with your songwriting, you pick up on something, you write a song about something that then ends up being of even greater significance when you return to it later on. Is that a fair paraphrase?
Yeah, it's weird because even as a like really angsty little teen songwriter, I would write songs and then I would look back on them and think, that's what I wanted to say to that boy. That's what that's how I wanted to present myself. And I've always used songwriting to kind of put down on paper stuff that was spinning around in my head before I knew how kind of bad that spinning could be. But I would put things down on paper and then, months or sometimes years later, I'd think, I was really sorted about that. Like I knew exactly what needed to be done in that situation, but I didn't know it at the time. It's very strange.
So how did that come through with 5 o'clock?
In 5 o'clock, I sat down and I wrote a song that I knew I was making myself miserable by drinking, and that maybe I should stop.
The key lyric is it's 5 o'clock somewhere at any time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It seems to come a little earlier each day. And I had obviously a moment of clarity that made me write those lyrics, but then kind of thought I'd licked it. I kind of thought, I acknowledged it and I, controlled my drinking and I made different choices to not overdo it. But because I didn't pay enough attention, that it was legitimately a problem for me. Yeah. Because it didn't really matter how much I drank, it was why I drank. Like, I'm drinking today because I'm happy. I'm drinking today because I'm stressed. It was like there was always a reason. Yes. And as a musician too, you're offered drink tickets as soon as you load in your gear.
Absolutely.
People offer to buy you a drink because they enjoyed your set. I now, I want to say, I want to say to people, I don't drink, but buy my CD. Which isn't as easy to say, but basically it came down to the fact that I thought I was in control. And that's what's kind of sneaky about alcohol is it can trick you into thinking that you're in control, and I wasn't. I was drinking. I had some ongoing, I had an illness that made me legitimately in pain every day, and so even when I had had medical intervention and I wasn't still in that pain, I was still drinking as if I still was. I was in that habit. Of drinking like I used to.
Because that had become a mechanism.
Yeah,
a coping mechanism,
I had chronic pain and, Advil wasn't cutting it. So, Advil and a couple of glasses of red wine kind of became my daily, habit. It's not a good habit.
No.
And, I knew that. I could see it in other people, but it kind of snuck up on me. Yeah. Until I realized, I just don't want to wake up feeling bad every day.
Yeah.
So then I stopped. The hardest part about stopping actually was then I really realized my new normal was completely depressed. And that was, it's really disappointing because you think, I'm doing all these good things, I'm making better choices, I'm not drinking. And I realized that, one, I was really thinking about not drinking all the time, which is almost kind of a sign that you're just going to, as well. You just start kind of getting into this circular thinking about it, which isn't healthy. But I also didn't feel good, and I didn't feel kind of how I felt like I should if I was, making all these healthier choices. And it took another person, that I met kind of in early sobriety to, she didn't know me that well, but she was like, you're depressed, you need to go to a doctor. And people around me, they knew the ups and downs of Katy. If I have a good gig, I'm really up. If I, haven't written a song or I don't, feel good about what I'm doing lately, I'll just hide from the world for a few days. So, maybe no one knows that's happening. So it took someone new in my life who wasn't trying to fix me, or change me. But she just recognized that whatever my level was, it seemed very, very low. And she recommended I see a doctor, and when I did, it was, surprise, surprise, you have major depression.
Right.
So they put me on medication, and, I was hesitant to do all of that. I mean, obviously it's a way longer, boring story. But the good part was that very quickly, I was very lucky that very soon, within a month or so, of starting medication, I started to actually kind of freak out and message people and ask them, like, is this what normal feels like? Because it just wasn't this constant chaos in my head.
Right.
I always had chaos in my head. I thought it was creativity.
Yeah.
You know, I just kind of thought you thrive on that.
As well.
And you thrive, you know, on some of the ups and downs, but the downs hurt so bad. And to the point where, you know, I definitely many times felt like I had, you know, I was just kind of done. I just kind of felt like
done with music, done with life,
done with everything. And I say that very carefully because you know, you say the word suicidal in a doctor's office and they lock the door. They don't let you go, I discovered. But so I don't you know, luckily that was always kind of something on the other side of a wall from me. Like I wasn't over there, but I definitely didn't know how to cope.
But you felt it's a dead end.
I felt very much at a dead end.
Yeah.
I just felt like no matter what I do, I'm never going to get to where I want to be. I've disappointed myself as a person, you know, all of this stuff. And I also only really realized recently that I'm sneaking up now on the age that my own mom passed away. And so I think somewhere in the jumble of all of this kind of mental stress that I was feeling, I think I always felt like I kind of had an expiration date. Like I needed to get all my parenting done. I needed to kind of teach my kids everything they needed to know. I needed to make the records I needed to make. I needed to be the wife that I wanted to be. I had to have it all done and make everyone in my life happy in case I wasn't around anymore. And then I felt like I hadn't done any of that stuff. So I really felt like I'd kind of crushed and let myself down.
At what stage were you?
Crazy.
Yeah. Which
oh yeah, that's why I take medicine.
At what stage were you writing the songs in present? Was that during, before, or after?
That was all before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's interesting. Some of these same themes, like the song 23, which you can hear at the moment.
Yeah.
The song is embracing being the age that you are, not wanting to be on a shelf.
Right.
So it's interesting that there's determination to be Katy Vernon in the present. All the songs on present are about the present. So that's one of the songs. Pearl as well.
Pearl is very much what I then later felt like I was going through even more. So it's weird because I think you do get glimpses of the changes you might want to make in your life, and then you can downward spiral away from those.
Right.
But if you can kind of listen to your inner...
Listen to this album present, in your case, it's full of signposts.
It is, yeah. And I think I've always been a good friend to people, and I've always been very non-judgmental and kind of... It's so like circular and kind of cheesy to think about, but I needed to learn how to do that for myself.
For yourself, yeah.
You know, and I needed to just kind of go, you know, what have you messed up in life? Like nothing, you know, so just go easy on yourself, you know, those kind of things. But that's what is so difficult about depression, is that, you know, it's this voice in your head just telling you lies, dragging you down. I mean, just pulling you, you know, away from things.
In the undertones? Yeah? Is that an aspect of what these couple of songs that we were talking about before the Meridian are dealing with? How are those songs dealing with this thing?
You know, I think when I wrote Present, I knew I was battling some demons, but I wanted to kind of say all the good ways that you can deal with them.
Yeah.
You know,
you wanted it to be positive for other people
really
to some
positive.
extent.
Yeah, and I still do, definitely.
Of course.
But Undertow, and there's one other song I wrote too when I was in Brighton, basically, which is called Save Me. And it's basically just like, I really screwed up and I need to learn how to get myself out of that. And that's directly related to my drinking and the fact that I was, you know, slowly killing myself. I mean, with alcohol, if I, you know, a lot of people end up at a really low, you know, point in their life, and I was getting there, and I was very disappointed in that. So, and then it's so hard, even though you know you have to stop, it's so hard, you know, because you're literally self-medicating the moods. As soon as I start to feel huge emotions like anger or just sadness, the things I don't want to feel, I know I can numb myself.
Yeah.
But I know that makes everything worse. You know, even the next day you just feel crummy. You know, so it's
in the long term and in the short term.
Yeah, it doesn't fix anything. It makes everything worse. You know, the next day. So both of those songs. I mean, Undertow is very much about learning not to fight the way you're feeling and just have to just let go and trust that you'll come out the other side.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you can't fix a situation. You just have to ride it out.
You can't have control. We're fallible, finite beings.
Right.
Yeah.
And you know, do you do that thing where you start thinking about yourself as, you know, a tiny speck floating through, you know, the universe and feel completely insignificant? Probably not. You know, that's too big a thought and makes all of us, you know, just feel like nothing matters. I mean, of course things matter.
We are the center of our own universes. Right. We actually are, inevitably. We cannot not be. Yeah. But at the same time, to be like aware of that and recalibrate in light of the negative aspects of that.
I mean, there are things you have to do, you know, like I remember planning my tour and thinking, I just want to learn how to be free and just go with the flow. Well, that's great. You still need to book your train ticket.
Yeah.
You know? You can't just go with the flow, you know, to Edinburgh. You do have to reserve that seat and pay extra if you don't do it, you know, early enough. So you have to plan and you have to make these good choices. But you also have to be okay with the train breaking down. You know, just be able to go, you know what, there are certain things that can just completely flow off your back. Because they don't matter. Mm-hmm. All that matters is that you safely get to where you need to be, your loved ones are okay, you know, all the stuff that, you know, after a fire or a flood, or, you know, you check, okay, is this, and this okay? Then I'm good. Then
those
I can deal with the
are
rest,
the most important things, not only in the crisis moments.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. I was reading the 2 entries that you wrote for Dissonance.
Oh, sure, yeah.
When you were just about to go on the tour and when you were on the tour. Yeah. And the first entry was called the HALT Tour, HALT. And so HALT standing, if I have this right, for hungry, angry, lonely and tired.
Yeah, so in early recovery, really at any time, those are good indicators that you need to do some self-care. Yeah. So those are the things, like people throw around the word hangry a lot, which I love. I love that word.
It's a
so true for me.
It's true for everyone.
You know, if I'm not, you know, fed and, you know, the worst thing is to, you know, go grocery shopping when you're hungry, but hungry can make you angry, you know, you really can. So, but HALT, is hungry, angry, lonely, tired. I think the joke that I was, you know, kind of making to myself and the folks at Dissonance was, how can you avoid those things when you're on tour?
Absolutely.
Like you basically are going to be, you know, probably at least 3 of those things, hopefully not all of them. So I thought, you know, that was a big test of my sobriety, because for me, being out of the bar, you know, despite what I said earlier about being a musician, you still have to play, you still have to drive home. So, you know, you don't hopefully make irresponsible choices when you're out in that environment. For me, it was more sitting on my own at home, especially if I was feeling depressed, or for me,
no one
drinking
there
alone.
To see you.
No one there to see me, no one there to judge me.
Yeah.
And what's wrong with having, you know, a glass or 2 of wine and some cheese and crackers? Like, society says nothing. But when you're doing it because you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, if you're doing it for any of those reasons, maybe you could make a better choice.
Especially in it, so let's contextualize. We were both in England for the first time in some time at this thing. We didn't manage to cross paths, but that's okay. We knew that this would happen.
We were close.
We'd catch up here. And we were both in London at the same time.
We were.
But when I was in London, I was struck and surprised, and shocked is not too extreme a word. I don't recall when I was like growing up in England, spent lots of time in London, people were walking around the streets drinking. But
you notice it when you come from a place where people don't do that.
I felt this is a den of iniquity.
Yeah. Well, you know what really struck me actually was I was buying some little, you know, food and treats at just a little local corner store. Yeah. And they had plastic filled wine glasses to go.
Right. leave the liquor store on the street.
Yeah, no, liquor's everywhere. And so I was very anxious when I was planning the tour, because I thought, gosh, when I'm really far away from my husband and my kids, and not only people that I love, you know, that were obviously great company, but also people in my life that hold me accountable. You know what I mean? You can only get sober for yourself. It's, you know, tale as old as time, but it's true. You know, no one else can make you do it. So I knew the biggest disappointment would be to myself, that, you know, I would let myself down. But there's kind of a cat's away, you know, mice will play element too, which is, I thought, you know, if I'm having a rough day, or even if I'm having a great day, do I want that temptation? And so I was really worried about that. But I noticed that when I was in a pub, you know, the first thing, obviously, is people offer to buy you a drink, and I'd just say I don't drink. Well, when they're people that don't know you at all, they just accept that.
Yeah,
it's cheaper to buy this girl drinks. You just buy her, you know, a lemonade, and she's good for the night. And nobody questions it, you know. And so when you introduce yourself to a whole new group of people as, hi, I'm Katy, I don't drink, then that holds you accountable with that group of people. Yeah. And the more good choices that you make, the more your brain and, you know, even your taste buds kind of go, oh yeah, you're okay with that. You don't need... And even when I was in Brighton, completely by myself, I only kind of did a little double take one time, you know, at the liquor store, and thought, and then I thought, no, what am I doing? So I kept on walking. Right. And it felt really good. It was just like, I don't have to tell anybody, I didn't drink today. Right. But I'm sitting with it. I'm sitting with myself and my truth. And I know that I didn't break my own promises to myself. And that felt really good.
Yeah, it's really interesting thinking about control here, because you, on the one hand, you were saying we can't control everything. Like, you know, what if the train breaks down? If I feel like I haven't got to where I wanted to be in this respect, you know, I don't control reality, so, you know, just give myself a break. Right. But on the other hand, you know, we're talking about self-control,
but that's the only control you have.
Exactly, but that's the crucial kind in this conversation.
Well, you know, sometimes you think, you know, that you could just do this, and this. If only the whole world made it easier for you to do that. And it's like, the world's never gonna, you know, lay out an obvious path for you, and all you can do is control your reaction to it.
As established at the beginning of this second segment, we were both present at Hazelfest just a few days ago. And the final talk, I've got the name of the person who gave this talk just here. He was saying that the best wisdom that he had to communicate on the subject of like mental health and addiction, he had learnt in India, and he was hearing a talk coming through a speaker. It was in a foreign language. He was sitting with his feet in the river, and you know, he heard the whole thing in I think it was Portuguese first, and then the first bit of the English translation was relent complaint, relent complaint, and then he kind of, you know, started paying more attention. And the idea that you can't be simultaneously experiencing gratitude for life and the gifts of life and complaining, having an attitude of complaint. So yeah, that was for him the starting point for recovery, or just for recalibration. Like anyone like recalibrating, begin by relenting complaint. Because if we stop and think, we have, whether or not we're verbally expressing it, we have an attitude of complaint so much about so many things. So I think that fits with what you were saying.
I mean, it all ties together, and I think, you know, the most important thing about recovery for me has been just being around people that have wisdom, you know? Because it's like I said, I always tried to be a good friend. I didn't know how to be a good friend to myself. I now know that I can walk into safe places and listen to people tell their stories and really just listen. You know, you don't always have to have the answers to everything. Like, why would I know, you know, a lot of stuff? you know, it's still a relatively new thing for me to even be, you know, kind of recognizing like I have a, you know, a depression that can be helped. I didn't believe it could be helped because I thought it was just my character.
Part of, you're right. And tied up with your creativity, which is key to you as well.
Exactly, and I think a lot of people, and they discussed this actually at Hazelfest, and some of the speakers in the past have discussed this, that there is no special, like, amazing thing about mental anguish and pain and you know, dependency on things that makes you creative. The two might very well go hand in hand a lot, but you deserve to have a happier life. You know, there's no point putting pain on a pedestal. Like, it doesn't make your songs better. In fact, I think that I'm now, because I have less actual mental pain, I'm able to put into my lyrics more honestly what that felt like. And it's early days doing that, so I don't know how they'll all turn out, but I feel freer talking about it and less ashamed talking about it, so it can translate and come out in a song.
I'm excited to hear. I'm excited to hear the new, because before, like, the very important message about living in the present is, you know, the thread that runs through present, of course. But, you know, we've been saying in this conversation, if you're booking train tickets, if you're doing X, Y, and Z, that we can't be living in the present all the time.
Always.
We get caught in the undertow all the time. So I'm excited to, you know, hear the new music with, which acknowledging all this.
I'm looking forward to working on it all with the band, and, you know, ultimately, you know, I think I'm too much of a cheeseball to not want it to be optimistic as well, because a lot of planning is about, you know, it's self-care. You know, I'm planning things that will be fun to do. You know, it was probably more painful to me than it even should have been that my first couple of gigs when I came back were rained off, because I need things to look forward to. You know, and I also need to really learn how to just go, it's okay, there'll be another gig, another day, you know. So it's managing your expectations and also just reacting to whatever is going to happen in life. I know, you know, don't anyone like type in and say it's just a gig, but, you know, I know that a cancelled gig is not a big thing, but, you know, I've dealt with really big things in my life, you know, that have, I think, for years clouded the issue of depression, because I had, you know, the early deaths of both my parents, long distance strained relationships, and, you know, just stuff. I mean, a lot of people have a lot of difficult things in life, and I definitely had my fair share. And I think I was so hung up on how those made me feel, and some of the trauma and long-term grief that I've had, that I didn't recognize that I also had a medical you know, depression that could have been helped. Because if the depression, you know, it's funny, I didn't really believe I had a depression or even alcoholism. Like, it's still hard even saying, you know, that I have that or that it's real. Like, I don't doubt it in other people, but in myself I go, no, it's just lack of self-control. But it was hard to believe those things are real until you start living without them. Like, now that I feel this equilibrium kind of normalness in my head, I realize, oh my gosh, I dealt all those years with such mental pain, such a negative voice in my head saying, you suck, you should give up, you know, you're old, whatever. Any of those things that I was fighting against, and it's like, oh, I don't have to fight them anymore.
I think equilibrium is the right word too, because all of us all the time are striving to be balanced.
And it's weird. I mean, I literally texted people and said, is this what it feels like to be normal? Because I felt so calm. It was strange.
Can you recall any like specific moment where you suddenly had this realization where things felt different?
Yeah, you know, I think things just kind of rolling off my back. You know, I mean, I felt several times in my tour when, you know, I had to get somewhere and I had to get a train and I didn't know where the station was or what kind of ride I'd get at the other side, if I had somewhere to stay that night. And I managed to just work everything out as I went along and just react to things, and I never felt that huge anxiety. You know, even little things, like I just, you know, I wasn't as mad at my kid for not, you know, putting her plate in the dishwasher. You know, little stuff. It was like little things and big things. I just had such a almost non-reaction to. And as a highly strung person, I wondered, like, is that normal? You know, I almost felt, this gets back to the underwater theme, but I almost felt a little bit underwater. And I thought, do I have too much medication? Am I too zen?
This non-reaction.
This kind of non-reaction. But then I just had to get used to that. And I just had to realize it's okay not to cry. It's okay not to lose your temper.
Yeah.
Like, these are actually nice ways to navigate going through. And then I think the fact that I actually started to write some songs I liked then helped, because it's terrible, but, you know, I'm definitely not the first person in the world to think, what if I'm never creative again?
Right.
You know, what if I need that hard edge?
Yeah.
And
how interesting to have broken away, because there's like obviously the romanticism paradigm is like Lord Byron and stuff, but you're the William Blake who is aware of the mind-forged manacles.
Yeah, well, and it's really funny because I texted a friend and said to her in those early days, you know, I think I am the most self-aware, least self-aware person I've ever met.
The most self-aware, least self-aware?
Yeah. And she laughed. She's like, oh my gosh, that's so funny. But
how,
it's so true. Yeah. I was just like, I think, you know, from my earliest, you know, kind of outings into songwriting, I was using songwriting, you know, as a 12-year-old kid to work out my feelings about not having my mom in my life anymore.
Yeah.
It was like, how do you know how to even kind of grow up and love and be happy, and when your entire world just feels so sad, you know, and overwhelming. So I was really like navel gazing and, you know, journaling, which became songs, all these kind of thoughts and feelings, very deep, you know, kind of thoughts.
As a teenager?
As a teenager, yeah, as a really young teenager. And then, you know, my dad died 5 years later. So then I had, you know, as a 17-year-old, even more angsty, you know, stuff to write. And, you know, and before I forget, you know, my first record was all about kind of paying tribute to people in your life and how they've informed your life. And I probably sounded really together, you know, with some of those songs.
Because of your ability, because of the clarity of the thinking.
Yeah, I knew how to kind of write things down, but I think what was happening was I was so caught up that I always had a million things spinning around in my head. I didn't know that I never felt peaceful. Like, for me, wanting to live in the present was such a aggressive attempt at living in the present, because I wanted to.
Yeah, which is why we then have to record all about the importance of that.
So, I mean, I think I had, you know, I wrote all those songs, but it was like I wanted to feel that. I don't think I necessarily was feeling that, because it took me, you know, it was probably about an 18-month spiral after that record that I got to a place in my life where I just woke up, you know, with a hangover and thought, this is it, I can't do this anymore. And I had been told, you know, they would, if you read those questionnaires, they say, has anyone in your life expressed a concern with their drinking? I'm like, yes. You know, I mean, out of 20 questions, I think I filled out about 16. And because I was trapped in that mindset of being addictive, I thought, well, I've still got 4 more things to go on the list.
Yeah, I'm okay.
And that is how, that's how an addict thinks, you know. So I might want to or might not want to, you know, call myself an alcoholic, but when you're looking at a list, you know, of any condition, and you are more than 3/4 of the way, you know, into that list, it's a very honest and obvious warning that, you know, you need to make some changes. So it was only after making those changes that I began to realize that I think I just never knew what peaceful was. I never knew what quiet was.
And you never knew what it was to write a song from the place of peace.
It came in waves, you know. It was gradual. I mean, my drinking became worse over the last, you know, maybe 5 years. With all the chronic pain that I had, you know, and then I had surgery a couple of years ago, and so a lot of that pain started to go away. So it was really self-medicating in the most obvious way. I literally couldn't find a medicine that worked for me, so I turned to alcohol. You know, and I see friends that, you know, probably drink a bit more than they should, but it's not for me to point that out. You know, anyone would look at how much I was drinking and probably not even recognize a problem. But I had, and I've developed more of, and I've actually discussed with my doctor that it's probably because of some of the pain issues I had. I'm very sensitive to alcohol. I mean, I'm almost probably borderline allergic, because if I have 1 glass of wine now, I will be drunk. and that's not really normal. So, you know, that was one of the things I couldn't check off on the sheet. It was like, can you drink more and more without feeling effects? And I was like, no, then I must be fine. And it's like, no.
Just focus on that one thing.
So I'm like, medically, I'm not fine.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I don't want to talk around the subject, but you know, due to chronic pain, I had a hysterectomy a couple of years ago. So that has changed my body. That has changed the chemical reaction to how I can process alcohol. And I cannot process alcohol very well at all. So no matter what little, you know, crazy voice in my head says, you should have one, I really can't. And the fact that even though I knew that, I was still craving it, meant that I had some mental work to do as well.
Yeah. The relationship between the mind and the body seems really crucial too. We've been talking about equilibrium, it really, like the mental balance, but also the balance of chemicals, and everything it all kind of ties together.
And everybody's different, you know. I mean, that's one of the crucial things to realize. If you think you are having an issue with alcohol and you look around and think, well, you know, everyone else drinks, they might just be completely, you know, doing it differently than you are. Or, you know, one thing I think you always think, people are going to notice if I'm not drinking. They might, but so what? You know, most people are not focused on what other people are doing. It's only the addictive brain that thinks everybody's watching what you're doing. Most people don't.
Again, this same talk that really struck me at Hazelden was putting an emphasis on the individual traveling from darkness to light and trying to navigate and trying to recalibrate and establish this equilibrium. Everyone is doing that. So I just think that was really helpful to think about, and what is assisting me and what is not assisting me in my effort to do this. You were addressing Lily, please don't ever change, you know, don't try to live your life inside the lines. It's so interesting, you know, as you've been saying, a lot of these songs I'm present now kind of thinking, you know, how they apply to you as a songwriter too.
Definitely. Well, you know, sometimes I hear myself, I mean, obviously that's me talking to my child, giving her advice, and In Your Shoes is very much that type of song too. I do hear myself sometimes, you know, parenting and saying things to my kids that then I think, I need to say that to myself. You know, like middle school is really hard, and you know, you give your kids pep talks at the end of the night, like you don't have to be everybody's friend, and you know, you don't have to change who you are to be around different groups of people, and you know, you hear all these things, and you're like, oh my god, like I should write this stuff down, you know. And, I mean, despite all the kind of, you know, doom and gloom and sadness, I'm beginning to realize that I am in a stage of my life that I didn't see myself getting to, which obviously that was depressing, but I'm having a second chance now to have a relationship. You know, I'm a grown-up woman and I'm having a relationship with these teenage girls, and that is exactly, you know, it was almost hanging over me that that's what I never had. You know, I never had a teenage relationship with a parent. I never had a mom around. And so for me to now play that role and be that support for my kids gives me so much back. You know? And I am kind of almost parenting myself back at the same time I'm parenting them.
And they're parenting you to some extent. By the time at this stage, that comes through in the song In Your Shoes. As you and your daughter are relating to each other's position.
I mean, that was
neither of you will give up on the other. It's funny, but it's very serious.
It is. And you know, I mean, I haven't hid my struggles from my kids. You know, like not that long ago, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, I was having kind of a rough day, and at the end of the day, you know, I said to one of my girls, you know, I'm sorry, I've just been kind of flat today, and she's like, it's okay, it's alright to have an off day. And I just thought, oh,
I won't give up on you. We won't give up on each other. So please don't ever change. Do enjoy further becoming the Katy Vernon that you are. And we have the opportunity to see the Katy Vernon that you are one last time every night this week. So as we arrive at the end of our episode with our theme song play back again, we should all play as often as we can. Katy is playing tonight at the Ritz Theatre in Debacle. She's playing tomorrow at Silverwood on stage. She's playing on Thursday, August 10th at the Aster with Homefires. She's performing on Friday, at the opening reception, and there's a performance for Songbird Treaures in White Bear Lake.
Yeah,
What's
White Bear Lake.
The name of the store?
The store is Sweet Home.
Sweet Home?
Yeah, so it's on 3rd.
Yep.
Anyone who knows White Bear will know.
So from your street to Katy's home via Sweet Home to your home. Yeah. And then Saturday and Sunday, you are again doing Debacle at the Ritz Theatre. On Saturday, you're also at the Mall of America.
I will be. That'll be an interesting one. I'm at the Tommy Bahamas store.
So what time is that?
I'm playing noon to 3.
Yeah.
It's like friends and family discount day. I think that means everyone can go. I don't know. I don't know what it means. Anyway, that'll be a fun show.
And then Katy has a break from playing for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
And then we should all go to Mears Park to see the Flamin Ohs with Katy and her full band.
One of my favourite bands.
One of my favourite bands too.
Love them.
Check out the full interview with them, link in the comments. And then 2 more weeks pass, another fortnight, and you get a nice bit of British Parliaments in there.
We're going to be playing at the fair.
At the fair?
So excited.
The State Fair, of course. 11:30, 12:30, 1:30 on both Thursday, August 24th, and Friday,
first 2 days of the
August
fair.
25th. Yeah.
So everything will be, the butter princesses will be so fresh. It might not even be done yet. I don't know. That'll be good.
Yeah. So thank you very much, Katy, for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
This has been Back to the City. I'm Simon Calder. I'll see you at some of those Katy Vernon shows.
Oh, rushing around so much.